Hello and welcome back to another episode of the On the Sideline podcast. And I'm joined here, as always, by the man who threw up peace signs at the beginning of the show, Kyle. Kyle, how are you doing?
What's going on? It's going good. Good day today. Missed some afternoon football, but overall pretty good.
Yes, don't worry. I kept close eye on it. Also, Carrion saying you took longer than usual to do your makeup. I don't know what that was about. Did it take you longer to do your makeup today, Kyle?
Apparently, is he trying to say we're late? I don't know. But
yeah, I'm pretty sure we started right at 9. I don't know. All right, we'll move on. Plow ahead here on this very fun Wednesday afternoon. We had Wednesday afternoon football. Let's talk about that first, and then we'll talk about the Monday game. I know you didn't get a full chance to watch it. You have a real person job. I do not. Some people say I'm not even a real person. This was a very fun game. I had a blast watching it. Wednesday afternoon football should always be a thing, I think, at this point. I am all aboard. It was an interesting game. I thought both defenses played well. I thought that Baltimore really struggled offensively, and I mean, that's not really breaking the wheel here. But, Baltimore somehow made a game of it. And I do think that if they have Lamar Jackson, this is a completely different game. But it was going to be tough to win it with RG3. RG3 goes down, and that almost made it look better for them. I mean, they got a couple of explosives with RG3. It was fun to see him back out there, but I don't think we need to see it again. As a whole, I think these are two really good teams. I think Baltimore just they have to get their COVID thing under control. And for Pittsburgh, you're 11-0. People are saying you're the worst 11-0 team in football. But you know what? That's a pretty good problem to have.
Yeah, I mean, being the worst 11-0 team, well, we're still 11-0. I mean, they're still keeping pace for that one seed, which I don't think it's as important as, like, we've talked about it a few times on this show. I think, like, the Packers winning the one seed would be huge because that means everybody, Drew Brees and Brady, would have to go up to Lambeau to beat them, which I think is a big thing, even without fans. I don't think it'd be as big of a deal for Pittsburgh to get the one seed over Kansas City, but I do think it helps to have that first round bye, especially with the older quarterback. As long as you can keep that pace, that's all that matters. I'm not going to make the joke that, it only took Trace McSorley to come in for Hollywood Brown to get good. I'm not going to joke about that.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, this was, from what I was looking at, it's kind of a weird game. Like, Ben Roethlisberger, 51 pass attempts, only 266 yards. Like, this Steelers offense is so weird to me sometimes. Like, they'll whip off 4 straight touchdowns on, like, 4 drives, and you'll be like, oh, okay, this offense is really good. And then they'll slog through 19 points in this one against a team who barely practiced.
Yeah, I mean, no, it was a very bizarre game. Yeah, I mean, Trace McSorley, he basically just threw one ball to Marquise Brown, who got a 75-yard reception. Other than that, Marquise Brown didn't really do anything in this game. There was just that one weird big play, and that was pretty much it for Baltimore. There was a weird moment at halftime, right before halftime in this game, where the Ravens had about 30 seconds left, or I think it was about 23 seconds left. Second down and goal, but they have no timeouts left. They run the ball, don't get the first down. There probably should have been a defensive delay of game. The refs, for some reason, hate calling delay of games on the defense, even though that's clearly seemed to be one. I didn't catch who the player was, but someone was clearly holding the ball carrier down well after the play. Just mix things up. They run one play, don't get the touchdown. That was the end of the half, where they would have had some time had that not happened. So I understood the frustration for Baltimore. At the end of the day, I do think Pittsburgh is a better team, but it wasn't that much better than you might think, especially if, ended up being a 5-point game. But when it was a 2-score game, Baltimore had their opportunities in this game, and it's a tough one to end up losing.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, it'd be interesting to see this game one more time because we only got to see it once with Lamar Jackson on the field. I think all of these teams have kind of learned, look, we've got to be as flexible as possible with all the COVID stuff going on and having to deal with that as a team, and look, the reality is this team didn't practice basically the entire week leading up to this game, which is a problem. But at the same time, you look at it now, they're 6-5. Baltimore is still out of a playoff spot for a team that we thought in the offseason would win the Super Bowl. And, even going into last week, we were like, oh, well, at this point now, Baltimore's probably a sleeper for the Super Bowl because nobody's counting them into that game. And there's at this point they might not even make the playoffs. So I think it's becoming desperate times, I think, in Baltimore.
I actually feel optimistic about this game. I think that their defense played awesome in this game. Their defensive backs played really well. And I think that this game also it sucks to lose it. It absolutely does, because it's just the record now. You're 6-5, but they have an easier schedule. And I think also you just saw how much Lamar Jackson is needed on this team. I mean, they're just a completely different team without him in there. So I think they'll be okay. Their schedule is Dallas, which, we'll talk about that game later in the show. They play Cleveland, which I think they could win, Jacksonville, the Giants, and the Bengals. Even if they lose one of those games, you're looking at 10-6. That'll probably be enough. But yeah, if they won this one, it would definitely be.
Yeah, I do feel like that Browns game is going to kind of decide it. Potentially. I mean, we'll see. I do think that they will make the playoffs too, but yeah, I've never seen, this team looks, up until this week, it was looking discombobulated, and now, like you said, the defense did look better. We'll see what happens when Lamar comes back, if they're ready to go and make that run.
Yeah, we'll move on now. Let's talk about the Monday game now. Seahawks, Eagles. This was as someone who had Philadelphia plus 6.5, an all-time backdoor cover.
Yeah, this game wasn't close. It really wasn't. 23-17 does not do this game justice. The stupid Hail Mary at the very end of it gets the second touchdown for Wentz and makes his game look respectable. And then the other part was the Seahawks, turned the ball over twice on fourth down in Philadelphia territory. One was inside the 10-yard line. I mean, the thing that's just so the thing that's just so frustrating for this Eagles team is you see why people thought it was good.
Yeah.
You see why people thought this team was good. This defensive line is awesome. It's so good all the time, and it was good in this one. I thought Derek Barnett was phenomenal. I thought Fletcher Cox had his moments where he looked like Fletcher Cox. It's just, this is such a good defensive line that it just looks like this team should be way better than it is. And you continue to watch this team and think, well, they're probably going to win the NFC East still anyway, but they still look miles below Seattle for me.
Yeah, and I mean, this is the defensive performance other teams would have dreamed to have against Seattle. There were a couple. I mean, Seattle left points on the board, but still, I thought their defense played well. Let's go full. I don't know what ESPN here. I'll ask the question: is it time for Jalen Hurts?
Maybe. I mean,
it's hard to say.
I mean,
I can feel it first.
I haven't seen Jalen Hurts throw in the NFL. So it's how do you make that judgment? I mean, I think that they're just going to ride out Carson this year. I don't think it changes. I think that they're basically going to say, oh, hey, Adam Gase is here. That's cool. Anyway, I think that they're going to ride out Carson this season until they're eliminated from playoff contention, which they're not going to be because they're in the NFC East. But I don't know what happens this offseason. I feel like Carson's sort of done in Philly after this year if it continues to look this bad. I want to go to the other side. I thought this was a good performance from Seattle. I really liked it. This pass rush, since the Carlos Dunlap trade, has maybe been one of the most impactful of the season. That includes the offseason into now. He's been great. All of a sudden, this defense that looked like it couldn't stop anything has a legitimate pass rush that had another 6 sacks in this one. I thought this pass rush has looked really good since him and Adams have come back. I think that I feel a lot better about the Seattle team because while it was kind of expected Wilson would regress because he was otherworldly to start the season, having that defense looking better with him, even being just a good quarterback, I think that matters.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right, and they've gotten healthier too. So, listen, this is why you go out and you make trades. You get Jamal Adams, you get Dunlap, you get guys who can, you give up future assets to be good right now, and it's made a huge difference. And that's why I think if you asked me 3 weeks ago if this Seattle team is a Super Bowl contender, I'm saying kind of because the NFC doesn't really have that true perfect team. Seattle might end up being that team. They're looking much better right now, and this is a really good situation. I wanted to go back to the Jalen Hurts thing because I didn't give my opinion on that.
Sorry.
Yeah, you're good. I think that for Jalen Hurts, I think really what it comes down to, it's kind of a non-answer, but we don't know what's going on in practice. So really, it's as simple as just who's the better player at this point. You don't give. I think Wentz has at this point. It just whoever you think is better. And if they think Wentz is better in practice, you kind of have to give it to him. But yeah, any final thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, going back to that one more time, I think it's going to be interesting because there's an old, I don't know if anyone listens, there's an old Bill Simmons theory that fan bases usually get a 5-year window after winning a championship. I think this Philadelphia offseason is going to be interesting in terms of Carson Wentz and Doug Peterson and what happens with these two, because it looks like a completely different franchise than 2017. This looks like nowhere near a Super Bowl team anymore. And I don't know, like even like Peterson in this one, like all of a sudden all these guys come back and the guy who's been one of the best receivers in football this season, Travis Fulgham, like barely plays all of a sudden. I think it's I don't know. Like, why is Fulgham getting taken out for Alshon Jeffrey at this point in 2020? This isn't 2013 Alshon Jeffrey. I don't get it. So
right. No, it's a fair point. And I think what hurts both of those guys as well is, the credit for that Super Bowl is largely gone to two different guys now. It's largely gone to Frank Reich and Nick Foles. Obviously, Nick Foles deserves his credit. He was the Super Bowl MVP, and Frank Reich deserves a ton of credit as well. But they haven't gotten it done. In Philadelphia, they're a team that loves to yell at their teams, or they're a city that loves to yell at their teams. They just are. I mean, let's not forget, the first game back after winning the Super Bowl, Philadelphia had a disappointing first half and got booed on the way to the locker room. I mean, this is a team that they expect quick results. So, I think that, this is very much down the stretch. It's a chance for them to prove their worth. Although for Wentz, that contract, you got to keep him. But yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll see what happens with this Eagles team. I still think they're going to win the division, sadly. I have more confidence in them than anybody else in the NFC East.
Mm-hmm. All right, we'll move on. Let's get into the meat of the show. Did I hit the thing again? Move on. Kyle, for the first time, maybe all season, I think you might have had a lead the first couple of weeks. You have now come all the way back. You currently lead because, again, lower score wins with a 32-30 victory. That seems like we missed a lot of games, though. I don't love that.
I mean, over 12 weeks, I think that's probably fair. I mean, I've missed I had some really bad weeks because I'm pretty sure the last 3 weeks I've missed 2 games total. So
yeah, you've been on fire recently. Yeah. I haven't been great, but I've missed 3 games a week, and you just you've been on fire basically.
Yeah, I should bet more, honestly, with the way I've been picking these games.
But your house, I mean, might as well.
I mean, I know, seriously. So I mean, I gotta strengthen this lead a little bit here. I'm feeling good. A lot of favorites, I feel like, this week. So let's get into it.
Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna give you the first game. I've got one that I went back and forth on this game several times. So I'm just gonna give it to you. There's a 1-point spread. I'm gonna give you the Buffalo Bills against the 49ers. Also, I need to set up one thing because we have an additional aspect we have done. We're adding a twist to this show, which is if you want, at any point, you can double up on one, which means that if you get it wrong, you get 2 points. If you get it right, a point gets removed from your score. We're calling it the lock of the week. So that's an aspect at play here. But the twist is you have to go against the spread as opposed to just overall. So you'd have to go against the spread. If you're confused, you'll figure it out as we go. So Kyle, who do you have in this one?
Buffalo. I feel confident with Buffalo in this one. I'm not going to lock it, but I do feel like this is the better football team. I know 49ers looked pretty good last week, and with Richard Sherman back, that secondary certainly looked a lot better. But I do feel confident with the Bills in this one. I had this a little lower on my list, but I understand the pick. I still think it's tough to expect too much out of this 49ers team. I know Shanahan's amazing, and I know that he can do, just otherworldly things with an offense. But I just don't think I trust, Nick Mullins to outplay this Bills team.
Well, I mean, I think the real reason why this is the tough one is because we just saw San Francisco beat, in my opinion, a better team in the Los Angeles Rams. Now, they know each other better. It's a divisional matchups. And, Kyle Shanahan has always kind of had McVay's number to some degree. But I think this is a very interesting one. I would have gone with San Francisco, I think. I like San Francisco's ability to run the ball against this Buffalo defense. And I think that that's something that could be a real issue. And on the flip side, I like how San Francisco really got Jared Goff to make some mistakes. Allen is another guy who is mistake prone, and I think this could end up being a bad matchup for Buffalo. So I would pick San Francisco here. That's why I gave it to you, sort of to just not have to be in that situation.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's completely fair. I think this 49ers team is tough to pick against, and it's also really tough to pick for because you see the players left on offense besides Deebo Samuel, and you're like, how do you pick this team? But at the same time, Shanahan and Samuel can do a lot just on their own. I just think there's too much skill in this Buffalo team. I know Josh Allen makes mistakes, and that's going to make me sweat this one out. Mm-hmm. But I think he's plenty capable of getting it done. He's got great receivers beside him. I still want to see more Zach Moss. I want more Zach Moss carries, but I may never get that this year for whatever reason. They continue to go with the platoon.
Yeah, this is interesting, right? Because I think these are two teams that a casual fan might not realize in both directions. Where I think the San Francisco 49ers are a team that the casual fan probably doesn't realize is only one game out of a playoff spot right now. They are in the thick of things. They can absolutely make a run. And I think they're going to be hungry to win this game and to try and make a run because they got to win. And if they can pull this one off, they play Washington, they play Dallas, and then they play Arizona, the team they're currently a game behind, and then finish the season against Seattle. So if they can pull this one off on Monday Night Football, that would definitely go a long way. And as for Buffalo, it's not a guarantee. You're 8-3. You do still have to win these football games because if you lose a few, you could be in trouble. And they still have Pittsburgh on the schedule. They play Denver, and then they play New England, which that's a wild card. And they played Miami, which is the wild card. There's not a guarantee Buffalo makes the playoffs. This is an important win for both games.
Yeah, I do feel like, though, so if Buffalo wins this, they'd be 9-3. Mm-hmm. I think they're just about there at that point. I think that they're going to come out really hungry for this one, especially for a primetime game. They're going to show themselves. I do think that they're going to show up for this one and have a really good performance. Yeah, I mean, I think 49ers are competing. I just still feel like it's too little too late for them.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Let's move on. Now it's time for you to give me a game.
I'm going to keep giving you this team just because it's funny. So, teams who fired their head coach are 2-0 in the following weeks this season. The Lions at the Bears. Who do you got?
I almost put the banner up right just when you said you're going to keep giving me the team because it's funny. Yeah, no, Matt Nagy is the guy I can't quit at this point. I keep picking him. I think, on one hand, Chicago's, I do think, is still a talented team. I still love their defense, even if they are more banged up. Their offense is also more injured. On the flip side, no team has improved more in the past week than the Detroit Lions because no team has fired Matt Patricia. So with that, I think this Lions team, there's something about the first game of an interim head coach where I think the players just buy in more to that first game. I don't know what it is, but that's kind of like one of those gambling things. You always bet on the team the first game after they fired their interim head coach. I'm going to the upset here. I'm going to go Detroit. I'm finally quitting the Lions, and this is when they'll go on a hot streak and make the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually thinking of making this my lock. I felt pretty confident with Detroit coming out with the offense was going to explode without Patricia in this one, and they'd be really good. Here's my one worry. Weirdly, so Mitch Trubisky in 6 games against Detroit is 4-2 with a 68%, 67% completion percentage, 68 if you round up, 1,601 yards, 14 touchdown passes, 4 interceptions, a 106 QB rating. You can also throw in 112 yards on 5 yards of carry and a rushing touchdown. Mitch Trubisky is the Lions' daddy. So,
yeah,
I don't know. That makes me a little worried here about this pick. Mitch Trubisky shows up against Detroit. So, but I mean, I do like Detroit's team. I do think that maybe they're going to come out a little motivated without Patricia. It's startling how many people spoke out against Patricia after he got fired and all the former players and all that. So, I do think Detroit's going to win this one. But yeah, I mean, Mitch Trubisky, the wild card here, he could be the X factor the way he dominates Detroit.
That's a good point. Yeah, that reminds me of there was Case Keenum's stats against Tampa Bay are like absurd. His passer rating is like 125 against Tampa Bay or something like that. Like he just completely goes off against us. Yeah, no, that is fair, but I think a lot of that is almost all of that is the Matt Patricia Lions, if not all of it. So I think that's a big part of it. Is the defensive genius of Matt Patricia could not quite stop Mitchell Trubisky. Also, this is not really related. Did you see that clip? I never saw this. There's a clip that came out a couple years ago of Matt Patricia like criticizing someone for like slouching when asking a question in the press conference.
No, I didn't.
It's just fantastic. Everyone look at that up. All right. You have any final thoughts on this one?
No.
Yeah, whatever. Lions, Bears. Chicago technically still in the playoff hunt, but they're losing a million games, so who knows? All right, I'm going to give you a game now. I'll give you a pick'em. I'll give you Patriots Chargers here.
All right, this is my lock of the week.
Okay.
So yeah, I think this is my lock of the week. I'm taking the Patriots.
Your favorite
here.
Team.
Yeah, I'm picking the Patriots in the pick'em because against the spread, that's so easy. Listen, so I saw a quote today. Anthony Lynn said that he thinks that he told his team today, he told all of his players that the playoff hunt is officially over. So it seems like Anthony Lynn at least has quit. So
yeah,
I'm taking the Patriots. I think if coaches are saying things like that, I just don't have any faith that the Chargers are going to come out really motivated to play this one. I think that Belichick against a rookie quarterback could look ugly. I think that we're going to be able to run the ball. I think that we're going to be able to do a lot of things pretty well. I'm taking the Patriots in this one to win this one, and I get to pick them for my lock of the week, so I'm betting 2 on this one.
Yes, so this means that if you get it wrong, 2 points to go against you. If you get it right, you get a point, or you'll get 2 points added to your score. If you get it right, a point gets deducted from your score. So that's how that works. Yeah, I mean, here's the interesting thing about this game is I can see typically rookie quarterbacks struggle against Bill Belichick, right? He's able to scheme his way through. The flip side, though, is this defense hasn't been good at covering people this year. I mean, it's not been a great passing defense this year, which it was dominant last year. And I can definitely see with all of this receiver talent that Herbert has, with all this arm talent that Herbert has, and Herbert, to his credit, has done a pretty good job at making reads. I think that there's a chance he might turn the ball over a couple times, and I do think New England will be able to run against the Chargers, but there is that threat of Herbert just, outthrowing the Patriots defense, and I can definitely see this one. I can see this one going either way.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. I think that I think the pass defense has gotten better the last few weeks, besides the Texans game, which, the thing is that Texans game, I didn't think the coverage was necessarily bad. Watson just made a lot of awesome throws. There was 5 or 6 throws that he made that were guys covered, and he just put the ball in a perfect spot. I thought they did really well against Arizona, and I thought they did really well against Baltimore. So, I mean, yeah, I feel pretty confident, especially with Gilmore back to line up on Keenan Allen, which Gilmore had a really good game last week outside of the holding penalty in the end zone. I just feel confident with this Patriots team. Plus, the Chargers are cursed, so if this gets close in the fourth quarter, that means the Patriots probably pull it out.
Yeah, that is a fair point. If this one's close in the fourth, you definitely have to give the significant edge to New England. So New England is 5-6 here. They'd probably have to win out to make the playoffs. They play the Rams, the Dolphins, the Bills, and the Jets. You're a biased Patriots fan, admittedly. Is there a chance?
I mean, I've kind of said no from the beginning. Since they lost that first game to the Broncos, I felt like it was in a tough spot because you just can't drop those games. And then they dropped that Texans game, and I felt like it was over. Even with the win against Arizona, I don't feel confident in it because they still have to go down. I mean, if they can beat Buffalo and Miami, but that they still kind of have to play perfect. And I think that the Patriots actually kind of got shafted with this scheduling because of COVID. So basically now because of COVID, their teams aren't allowed to stay on the West Coast for West Coast trips, that they have to travel to LA this week, go back to Boston, and then travel to LA next week to play the Rams. I think that's going to be really tough. I mean,
yeah.
even though Belichick schemes well against the Rams, I think that's going to be really tough.
Oh, and it's Thursday Night Football against the Rams too, so you have even less time. Yeah, that's brutal.
Yeah. So, I mean, I just don't think that the Patriots are going to be able to pull it out. I think it's been a
Lee says, sorry to interrupt, but Kenneth Lee, good line in the chat. Stopping Baltimore's passing game. Very impressive. Yeah, great. Who could forget the dominant performance the Patriots secondary did, stopping Baltimore's passing game?
Yeah, I mean, Lamar Jackson also couldn't see because we messed up the rain, but
yeah.
I mean, so I still think it's been good. I still think it's been better. I think that they, I don't know. I think it's going to be interesting. I think that they're making a great run for it. I think Belichick's had a really good year coaching because there's not a lot of talent on this offensive side of the ball, and they've manufactured points when they need to and gotten stops when they need to. But yeah, I do think that the Patriots are going to win this one.
Yeah, fair enough. It should be fun though. I don't think this. I'm with you. I don't think the Patriots can do it, but I think it should be a fun game. The Patriots are just kind of fun to watch this year. Even they're not a great team, but they're interesting. I think. Whereas usually they're a great team and not that interesting. All right, now it's time for you to give me a game.
All right, this is the big game. NFC West continues to stay weird, so it's tough to pick. Rams at Cards.
Yeah, I have the Rams winning this one. I think the Rams are the better team. I think that last week was kind of a weird game. I think that San Francisco played really well in that one. I think San Francisco is underrated. And I also think that was a bad matchup for LA. I'm losing faith in this Cardinals team. I think that you'll see Los Angeles. They should be able to be exactly what they want to be against this Arizona Cardinals team that's had trouble with their front seven. And this is a team that thrives off of making your front seven make some mistakes. We haven't seen these two teams play yet, despite being division rivals. They play again week 17. So it is a lot of speculation. But I also think that Arizona is going to have a real hard time moving the ball against this Rams defense. I think I think the Rams are just a better team. And I'm going LA here.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you said. I think Arizona's struggling. I don't have as much faith in Cliff Kingsbury as, I don't know. He feels like not an NFL head coach to me. It's the jury is still probably out on him. It's only year 2. He's going to get another year to grow with this team. But I do feel like he makes a lot of mistakes. I do think that this ball, they need to find a way to get Hopkins the ball a lot. I just don't know if they're going to be able to move the ball enough. I agree with everything you said. The Rams are a better team, but Kyle Shanahan shows up when he plays Los Angeles.
Yeah. No. I mean, I think this should be a very interesting game. The Cardinals just losing last week, I think, really hurts them because they still have the Giants and the Eagles, but then they play San Francisco, who, in fairness, they own, but I think San Francisco is good. They play LA again. Like, there's a very real chance this team could end up losing 3 more games. And again, the nice thing is there's 7 playoff teams in the NFC, so they'll probably be fine. But they had a real opportunity, I think, to get a much better seed. And they're fading a bit. I still think that my problems at the beginning of the season, I still stand by to some degree. The flip side, though, is they still do have DeAndre Hopkins and Kyler Murray. And, that's a really good situation. Maybe Murray can run for a bunch of yards, and maybe even Ramsey, who's been great this season. Everyone struggles covering Hopkins. He will as well to some degree. So basically, Arizona's going to have to rely on star power to win this one, but they have star power.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think it'll be an interesting matchup. I still feel like there's just too many weapons in Los Angeles for this to not work. I think that they should be. I think it's more them in Seattle than necessarily them and them Arizona and Seattle. I do feel like it's 2, and then a little further down you have Arizona.
Mm-hmm. This is an interesting question. Little bit after we were kind of talking about it. If San Francisco makes the playoffs, can they win the NFC? I'd say maybe. I mean, I wouldn't bet on them, but you got to think about it. Like, they would have Garoppolo and they would basically have everyone back except for Bosa at that point. So, I mean, that's still a significant piece, but they would maybe have a chance, although, again, it would be tough, especially because they'd have to run the gauntlet of winning 3 games to get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, because they did just do it. So, I mean, I
Yeah,
guess that I
exactly.
mean that does mean something. But yeah, even you can't expect that to happen and then say like Garoppolo and Kittle are just going to come back and be 100%. I
Right.
think that's just going to be too tall of a task, especially if they get in, they're likely getting the 7 seed. I don't really like them with a fresh Garoppolo against New Orleans or Green Bay.
Yes, I also like Adam Gase playoffs. I also hope we can win a game. Yes, good stuff there from Adam Gase. All right, any final? This one should be a good game. One of the better games. One of the bigger matchups of the week. In Arizona, you want to prove you're great. Win this one. Beat the Rams. Any final thoughts on this one?
Yeah, no, I agree. I do think this is going to be the biggest. Like, we're really going to see what kind of team this Arizona team is after this one.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on. Let me double check. So this is my pick now. I will give you. I'm happy this one fell to me. I was a little bit worried you were going to take this one. The line is bigger than people might than I was. This line surprised me, but I'm still giving you the Cleveland Browns taking on the Tennessee Titans. Who do you got in this one?
Um, I'm taking Tennessee. I've been on the Browns bandwagon. Uh, I am not a Browns hater. I've been on the
Yes.
Browns bandwagon since the offseason,
Hmm.
and I do think that they're good enough to make the playoffs. I think they're good enough to do that. I don't think they're good enough to beat Tennessee. I don't think they're good enough to go to Nashville and beat Tennessee. This Tennessee team has kind of found its things on offense. This offense is going to be able to pick apart this defense, I feel like. I got the Titans winning this one by 10.
Yes, that was also one of my favorite comments from last podcast was people calling us Browns haters. I'm a Browns hater, but you definitely are not. Half true. Yeah, no, this should be an interesting game. I made a video about Wyatt Teller, Cleveland Browns right guard, and sort of how he's emerged from being kind of a no-name to one of the better guards in the league. If he was healthy, he'd probably be in the All-Pro consideration for the full if he was healthy for the full season. This Browns offensive line is going to have a very easy day against this Tennessee Titans defensive line. This is the biggest mismatch of the game. But I do think that the mismatch working that way doesn't help you necessarily as much as it working the other way. I think Tennessee's going to have a real hard time stopping the run, and Cleveland loves to run. And again, that's pretty much how Cleveland beats you. They run the ball, they run the ball, and they run the ball some more. And this is a matchup that they can potentially do something. Although on the flip side, I think Tennessee can put up just as many points. So this should be I'm not sure if it'll be a high scoring game because there might not be a ton of possessions, but there won't be a lot of defense in this one, I think.
Yeah, I think my worry is that I do think that the Browns, as they have all year, essentially can come into this game and control the clock really well and just manage the game as they have been. Even when this offense puts up a ton of points, it's mainly just off of controlling the game and controlling the ground. Because we've talked about Chubb and Hunt being just awesome, this offensive line being awesome. My issue with the Browns is if we looked at just likely scenarios of this game, is it the Browns controlling the clock or like the Tennessee Titans getting a couple scores early and maybe going up like 10, 14 points? I feel like that's the more likely scenario, even though the Browns, I think, can battle and stay with it. I think, especially as we've seen in the, their losses to Pittsburgh and Baltimore, when the Browns go down, it gets pretty ugly pretty fast because they're not able to open up and just start throwing the ball over the field and try and come back in these games because they have Baker Mayfield. So I just feel like that if the Browns end up going down early in this game, then I think it's going to be tough for them to come back because that's just not how this team likes to operate.
Yes. Adam Gase in the chat says, I'm picking the Brownies with that spread. Who knew Adam Gase was a big gambler? Maybe that's why the Jets keep not being able to cover the spread week after week. Maybe we've solved that one. But yeah, I actually think the spread makes sense to me because like what you said, I think that makes it perfect for me because the chances are this game isn't going to be within one touchdown if the Titans win. Like the Titans are going to win by 100 or they're going to lose by 2. Like that seems like those are the two options.
Yeah. No, I think that's exactly what's going to happen. I'm just going to lean the Titans because I think they are the better team and they're going to be able to move the football. I don't trust this Cleveland pass defense still, and I think Tannehill is going to be able to have some room to do that. So yeah, I'm making the Titans. It'll be interesting. You should bring on Adam Gase. It'll be like Mike McCarthy working for Pro Football Focus over the in his when he got fired. You could bring Gase on, and it'll be like his Pro Football Focus moment, and he really he really remembers why he loves coaching football.
That would be good. Yeah, I like that. I like that move. Get Adam Gase. He would, and then he could lie and say that he watched every snap from the past season to get a job.
Yeah.
Which by the way, what a lame lie. Because most people watch I watched every snap last season. It's not that difficult. Whatever. We'll complain about Mike McCarthy later. Let's move on. Now it's time for you to give me a game.
All right, here we go. I'm gonna give you this game. Screams trap game for me. Just screams it.
Okay.
This is definitely this is an upset pick for me. I'm curious which way you go. New Orleans at Atlanta.
Okay. Not only am I picking the Saints, I'm locking it up. I think this is I forgot to put the banner up. 2.5 points for the Saints. This is to me, this is an easy lock. I think that I don't get this line. This line in the history of lines has nothing has confused me more than the Saints only being favored by 2.5 points against Atlanta. I think this is a team that is playing as good a football as they played all season with their backup quarterback. They blew out Atlanta 2 weeks earlier. Atlanta is coming off of a win. I don't trust this team to win back-to-back. And New Orleans had their weird game against Denver. I think the Saints blow them out, and I think this is easy point deduction to my total at the end of the week.
That's fair. I'm picking upset here. I'm thinking that I think that we're starting to see. I think we're getting a little too comfortable with the Saints team, and I don't like it. We're like 5 weeks removed from being like Drew Brees has fallen off the cliff. There's so many problems with this offense. It's all Alvin Kamara or bust. There's so many things wrong here. The defense isn't playing as well. Well, you know who has played well the last 6 weeks? The Atlanta Falcons defense and their offense has both played well the last 6 weeks. With Raheem Morris, I think they're going to shut down this Taysom Hill thing. I think Matt Ryan's going to have a big game. I'm going Atlanta by 3.
Okay, this is the bold take. I give you credit. Kenneth Lee in the chat says Taysom Hill barely outplayed a practice squad wide receiver. And what was the final score of that game? Was that what? Did they win by 3? Did they win by 4? Oh, right. They completely destroyed. Why are we acting like this game wasn't played literally 2 weeks ago and it was 24-9? I don't understand. Is the fact that it's going to be played in Atlanta be that big of a difference? I think it'll help. I think the game could be closer just because you've seen the Taysom Hill thing another time. But I don't know. I just think Atlanta doesn't have the talent here. I don't know. Maybe I'm just crazy. But to me, this seems like an obvious. The Saints are really good. I don't get why. The Saints are probably the best team in the NFC. They're a loaded team. I think they're going to win.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. Listen, picking the Saints is not a hot take because they're obviously a good football team. I just think that with everything going on with the Saints, I know, we have 2 weeks of film with Taysom Hill as the lead quarterback. I think the Falcons are going to figure some things out here. I think they're going to adjust offensively. I do think they're going to win this game. I think that they pull off this upset because the NFC South has been weird for like 10 years where there's random upsets every week with these teams. Even when the Saints have been dominant, the Buccaneers beat them with Fitzpatrick a few times. And, I think there are going to be some weird games still to end this season, and I think that's going to be one of them.
I think, you know what I think this is? I think this is because Atlanta beat New Orleans last year, and they blew them out. And I think this is listen, there's things I like about Atlanta. I could probably talk for hours about how much I like Deion Jones, and he had an incredible game against Las Vegas last week. There's a lot that they've played a lot better with Raheem Morris. There's no denying it. This Saints defense has played better than any defense these past few weeks. They've been on a complete tear, and they held Atlanta to 9 points last time. I don't deny that. I think this will probably be a lower scoring game. I think that last time Atlanta did a pretty good job of holding Taysom Hill in check. But at the same time, there were also a couple plays where Michael Thomas had a couple uncharacteristic drops. The score could have easily been higher. And I just don't see how you can score against this defense, especially Atlanta, who their offensive line play hasn't been great. And now you're going to try to block those guys in the front line. I just don't see it.
Yeah. Now that I've said all this, Trey Hendrickson, who in 2020 is the best looking guy with no gloves and a baggy long sleeve shirt underneath his jersey, he's going to end up with like 4 sacks in this game because I said all this. So, I mean, I'm ready to eat crow on this one, but I do think that
No,
there's
I
upset
like it.
potential.
I like the bold prediction. I just don't see it. We'll move on. So now I give you a game. I'll give you a trap game. This one's a trap game with another line that kind of surprised me at first, but I still think I understand it. I'm going to give you Indianapolis taking on the red hot Houston Texans. Who do you got?
Yeah, I this was actually next on my list too. So I think we're right in line on this one. Deshaun Watson's played out of his mind the last 2 weeks, and he is Deshaun Watson, so it makes sense. But Will Fuller's out. I think that's a huge thing. Will Fuller's been awesome. As good as Deshaun's been, Will Fuller has been his most important player to his success, I thought, the last few weeks. He's been really good the last few games. Him being out, I think, is really going to hurt. Brian Cushing, as the Brian Cushing jokes this week were on another level. I loved it.
Well, because Bradley Roby had
Bradley Roby's out too. So I'm going to take Indianapolis. I do think that they're going to bounce back. They're kind of angry after the loss. I do think they need this game, and I think Phillip Rivers is going to have a big one.
Yeah, I just think Houston's probably gonna lose. This seems like it's an Indianapolis victory. There always is the chance that Phillip Rivers throws 7 interceptions and you lose. And also, it seems like Indianapolis has been the team, or excuse me, it seems like Houston has been the team this season that teams keep thinking, okay, well, we got to get we got to start winning games. We got to beat Houston, and then to lose to Houston. That seems like they've been the spoilers this season. But yeah, for Indianapolis, I mean, you're trying to make the playoffs, maybe even still win the division. You're only a game out. You got to beat the Texans. You got to beat the 4-7 Texans. I don't care if they have Jesus at quarterback. You got to find a way to win.
You think Jesus has a 50-yard arm, 60-yard arm? I don't know. That's interesting.
I would think he has I think he's probably a Gardner Minshew type, not the biggest arm, but accurate.
That's fair. That's fair. So anyway, I think although I don't know how I'd be able to move in those sandals, that'd be hard.
No, Jesus, it would be the exact. I think we saw Jesus play quarterback. It was Tim Tebow with Denver.
Oh, that's
what it was. Yeah.
Okay, so just awful until the fourth quarter.
Exactly.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that they're going to be able to throw in this defense too. I mean, look, Damiere Byrd, like 2 weeks ago, had 160 yards against this defense. This past defense is still not good, despite how good the Texans have been the last couple weeks. I think that Indianapolis moves the ball out. I think that they have a bounce back game offensively. I think they're able to win this one fairly easily. I mean, I've liked seeing Deshaun Watson have fun out there and play well, but I just think without Fuller, and I think they're going to regress a little this week. So,
yeah, I hate when I give you a game and you just like completely demolish that, make it so it seems so obvious that it's going to go one way right after I give it to you. It's the worst feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, look, I had this game next on my list too. I think it's interesting. I think there's a lot of clear favorites this week as we get deeper into these games. I just felt confident with the I do feel confident with the Texans here, or I feel confident with the Colts here, and I have to justify my argument here. So I'm still red hot, so I probably got this one in the bag. Colts win.
Yeah, it's guaranteed. Put all your money on Indianapolis on the money line. They'll win it. All right. Yeah. Let's move on. Time for you to give me a game. Every game at this point is at least a 7-point spread. Pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense too, looking at a few of these. I had one game higher than this one on my list, but I'm gonna pull that one back a little because of injury issues. I'm gonna go Philadelphia at Green Bay.
Okay.
I can't quit on this Philly team. I can't say this team's out of it. I can't say it's over. I'm going Philadelphia at Green Bay. Can this defensive line do enough?
No, I don't think so. I think this is a Green Bay victory. I think that we've still seen Philadelphia have some trouble with listen, I think that there'll be, well, here's the thing. Actually, now that you say it, there is the pathway to victory. There absolutely is. And this game it wasn't next to my list, but I only had one game ahead of it. So we're both around the same page here. I do feel like Philadelphia, they are a team where it seems like they do some things very well. If they just run the ball, this should be a recipe for success. Just run the football, and run the football some more. Their offensive line has really struggled, though, blocking. And this might be the one game where Green Bay actually has a better chance in terms of their defensive line compared to an offensive line, because their defensive line's been disappointing this year when it was really good last year. So maybe they can improve on that. I think that maybe if they can find a way to sort of do what teams have done, which is run against Green Bay, take advantage of their not great linebacking core, they can move the ball. But again, this secondary is really good for Green Bay. That's one of the underrated things about them. And I don't see a scenario where Wentz doesn't turn the ball over in this game. And I also don't see a scenario in which Aaron Rodgers has a bad day in this one. So I do think it's going to be Green Bay. But there is the pathway.
Yeah, because I think we've said this. The Eagles' strength has been Miles Sanders, and it has been that defensive line. I think Miles Sanders can have a good game, but this defense, I think this defensive line is good, but the front seven of the Bears is better. And that Packers offensive line made it look like a junior varsity football team. I mean, Bakhtiari is absolutely insane in pass protection. I just don't think there's any chance that they're able to do anything against this Green Bay offensive line. That's probably why I take Green Bay. I would take Green Bay just because of that. I mean, it's not hard to not love these NFC East teams, but yeah, I just think it's too tough of a task.
Yeah, I think I would take Philadelphia to cover. I think 8.5 points is high. I would give Philadelphia. I think they'll cover. That's what I'll say.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. I can agree with all that. But yeah, I just think that Packers are going to be able to move the ball. I don't know how the Eagles stop them.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think this should be a. Yeah, I mean there is the upset potential, but yeah, like you said, I think I'm good. I think I've said everything needed to say about this one. Unless you have anything else to say.
Would you take this offensive line or the Browns, the Packers offensive line?
I'd go. They're both very good. I'd go Cleveland. I think Cleveland's is great, but you can't go wrong.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think they're top 2 right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to think about it. But yeah, I mean, especially and listen, Philadelphia's line was supposed to be one of the best heading into the season, and everyone's hurt. So that is a factor. But yeah, all right, we'll move on a little bit. Now it's time for me to give you a game. I'm going to go another similar idea where I'm going to give you one of the better teams in the NFC taking on one of the better teams in the NFC East, because every team is one of the better teams in the NFC East. I'm going the Giants taking on Seattle. I think there's upset potential in this one as well. Do you?
So this was the game I had higher and just moved it down. I kind of had this game as a little bit of an upset potential because I think that the Giants defense, with the way their pass rush has played at times and with that secondary with Bradbury, I think can get a few turnovers against Seattle. I think they can force a few mistakes. But I know you're a bigger Colt McCoy guy than I think everybody else in the world, even Colt McCoy's parents. But I don't think that Colt McCoy is going to be able to do a whole lot in this game. This Giants offensive line's bad. I talked about how good the Seattle pass rush has been the last few weeks. Once Dunlap and Adams came back, I think that they're going to overwhelm this Giants team a little bit by rushing the passer, whoever the quarterback is. And I think, even if they slow down the Seahawks offense, it's too much with Russell Wilson and company. So, Seattle.
No, I think this is the perfect Colt McCoy game where we're going to see Colt McCoy just completely go off for this one game. And everyone's gonna say once again, Colt McCoy, look at him, look, because every couple of years he does this. Not like in Fantastic Day, but he'll win a game. I specifically remember, I think it was I looked it up. So it was in 2014. He won a game with Washington, and everyone was excited and thinking that he was going to be good, and then it didn't work out. I also remember with Cleveland, he had a game like that. I think they beat Seattle. Or I think there's a chance. There's a world. I don't think they beat Seattle, but there is a world where McCoy is able to throw the ball deep. I think the Giants do have decent receivers. He's able to move the ball down the field. This Giants defense shuts down Russell Wilson, and we think that Colt McCoy has finally found it at 34 years old.
I mean, you can think that. You're allowed to have an opinion. I mean, yes. I feel like he's destined to beat 2 NFC. Do they play? How many more NFC East games do the Giants have?
I don't know. I'll check.
Yeah, I feel like his destiny is to upset a couple NFC East teams at the end of the season. And, they get 6 wins because of it and make the playoffs. And that'll be our Colt McCoy is back thing. Yeah, he's definitely beating the Cowboys, and he's going to beat like the Cardinals. I feel like that's Colt McCoy.
I think Colt McCoy's destiny is Hall of Fame. I think that he'll get there. He's a late
Okay.
bloomer.
Yeah. Okay. We'll make a bet on that one. We can do another point for that.
Okay, 1 point for if Colt McCoy. We'll in 50 years from now when we're still doing the show. That's when the cutoff will be. If Colt McCoy
Maybe
hasn't
the
made it by
college
then.
football. Maybe the college football Hall of Fame. I'll give you that one.
Never specified. No, yeah, but more seriously, I mean, I do think this Giants defense is very good. I think that this Seahawks offense has kind of shown doesn't matter who your defense is. Although last week was a bit of a hiccup, they still played well, but it could have been better. And for the Giants, I just think there is this upset potential. The Giants want this win. They played better every week, and maybe we could see something on offense with Daniel Jones out, and you don't have to worry about those constant turnovers. Maybe that could end up being a good thing. I don't know, but it's it's an interesting game. I'll keep my eye on it. But yeah.
I mean, I definitely think I'll keep my eye on it too. I do think the Giants still have some pieces on offense.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be tough for any quarterback right now, whether it's Jones or McCoy. And with that offensive line, yeah, I think that Dunlap and Adams, I think, are going to feast in this one.
Okay, yeah, I see. Eli Mullen in the chat says, "Hold up, let me catch up." So we're about 50 minutes in. So let's just, if we could just hang out for 50 minutes, about a little less than an hour, and then he'll be caught up, and then we can start again. Does that sound good?
Yeah. Okay. So what do you want to talk about until then?
No talking. We're just gonna sit here for 50 minutes until he's ready.
Okay, Eli, you're late, man. Come on, what's going on?
Yeah, we love Eli Mullen in the chat. Every now and then, maybe a late day. We'll give you this one, Eli. Don't make a habit out of it. No. All right. Time for you to give me a game.
I'll just pick this one because I feel like it's the worst favorite, especially being favored by a touchdown. Jacksonville at Minnesota. Can Jacksonville repeat their performances of last week and actually win?
Yeah, no, this one, I'm mad you took it because I was going to try and snipe you and give it to you a little early, but I waited too long. You were way ahead of it for me. This is a good pick. Obviously, I'm going to pick Minnesota to win. It's crazy that they're 10-point favorites with what's happened for Minnesota. It says more about Jacksonville than it does about Minnesota, I think. I don't think this Jacksonville defense stands a real chance. And again, we talked about Kirk Cousins has slowly been playing really good football lately. He's been quietly playing good football. The flip side is that I think that for Jacksonville, Mike Glennon has actually kind of given new life to this offense in a way where Luton really didn't. And so having just an NFL caliber quarterback out there makes a difference. I do think that for Minnesota, I don't think they're as good of a team as other people think they are. I still think they win this football game, though. I probably would say Jacksonville covers. I would get Jacksonville plus 10, but straight up, I'm going to go Minnesota.
I agree. Yeah, I don't trust this Jaguars defense at all. As you know, I do think that the Vikings offense has been really good this year. We've talked about Cook and we've talked about how Kirk Cousins has been really good. The emergence of Justin Jefferson has really kind of made this offense really competitive, and I think they're going to be able to move the ball just fine. Yeah, I would probably see it. I want to see it again from Mike Glennon before I say, hey, maybe he's turning this around. But he's another guy who I feel like has been around for a while and people keep betting on. Mm-hmm. He's like the tall version of Colt McCoy.
Yeah, I can see
Colt McCoy with a long neck. So
yeah, no. Yeah, I see Dalvin Cook had limited practice. I know he's hurt, so we'll see if that how healthy he can be when he plays. But yeah, for Glennon, as a Buccaneers fan, it was the funniest thing when Chicago gave him that big contract because we knew he wasn't good. We saw him play, and for whatever reason, I think everyone thought it was funny, but especially for Buccaneers fans, seeing how messed up he was, or not messed up, how bad he was. But yeah, no, he's that same kind of thing where every now and then he can win these games. He just needs to play the Steelers. And honestly, this is the perfect marriage, right? Where was Mike Glennon when they played the Jaguars and Mike Glennon against Pittsburgh and you don't play him? I mean, fire Doug Marrone for that.
Yeah. How has he not ended up on Denver? That's my question. How is Mike Glennon not ended up on Denver? Just the tallest guy.
Maybe Elway thinks that's kind of cheating because he has like 8 inches in his neck. Maybe that's what it is. It's like
that's
performance
way
enhancing
too
drugs.
unfair.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
Geez.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have too much to say about this one. I think I don't want to just keep repeating what we do week after week on these shows. I mean, for whatever, we'll move on. Let's talk. I'm going to give you a game now. All right, I'm going to give you this one because it's the next on my list. I don't think either of these games we even had to pick, but we will because that's how the show works. I'll give you Cowboys Ravens. I don't. The Ravens are going to win, but I'll give you Cowboys Ravens.
Ravens are going to win.
Yeah, I mean, I could go off. I put this one late. I thought it might go earlier. I mean, I don't know. Like, yeah, how does Dallas win this game?
The entire Ravens secondary doesn't show up, and those offensive weapons look pretty good. I mean, I guess that's pretty much it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Cowboys' strength is their wide receivers, but that's Baltimore's biggest strength is the secondary. I don't think they're going to be able to do anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and on the flip side, their defense shouldn't get much done. I mean, the way the Cowboys have to win is by running the ball constantly, which they could maybe do. But again, honestly, Tony Pollard's played just as well as Elliott has. Good thing they only have that contract for 5 more years. So, I mean, it's just a weird situation for Dallas. They're not a good football team. They lost to the football team by a huge margin. And I think Baltimore's good. The hope for Dallas is just if Lamar Jackson is just slow in getting back because of the COVID. I mean, that's the hope. And that's kind of why I'm giving it to you, because maybe RG3 has to play or, something, but I don't know. I think this should be a clear Ravens win unless something crazy happens.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. We've seen some of these guys come back really slowly from COVID too, so maybe it slows down this Ravens offense. I just don't think it matters. I don't think it's enough. This Cowboys team is missing way too much.
Yeah, I think they could. What was the name of the quarterback for Denver? The emergency quarterback for Kendall something?
Hinton? Is that it?
I think so. Something like that. I think if he was playing for Baltimore, I think they still win this game.
Yeah, he'd be interesting in that Greg Roman offense.
yeah, maybe. Hey, there you go. All right, we'll move on. Because again, at this point, we're just plowing through these potential blowouts. You give me a game.
Yeah. So these 4, we talked about how pretty clear favorites. Everyone's a 7-point favorite. These ones should all be double-digit favorites from here on out. I'm guessing. Maybe I'll give you Pittsburgh at Washington at Pittsburgh.
Okay, yeah. So this is a 10-point favorite. The only non-10-point favorite is the Raiders Jets, but that should be a 10-point favorite. But yeah. So for this one, the Balls taking on the Steelers. I like this pick from you. I think that if there is a team that's going to get upset by a bad team, it's the Steelers. And Washington, I think they're a better team. But yeah, I mean, that's basically how this has to happen, right? It has to be the Steelers just completely play down to their competition. They make some ugly mistakes, and this Balls defense, which has played better, is able to get some maybe get a turnover or two. This is a good pick for you. I think that this definitely could happen. It's not likely, but there is greater than 1% chance, I'll say, that the Balls win.
I don't think that I do think that of the last 4 games, this is the biggest upset potential, which doesn't say a whole lot, but it says something at least. The problem is that the Steelers are basically just going to take Antonio Gibson out of the equation. And the Balls have Gibson and McLaurin is basically their offense, and you're taking half of their offense away when you're taking Gibson out of the equation. I just think that's too much of a problem. I mean, it's obviously Pittsburgh's going to win this one, but yeah, I think that's a huge problem. If they're able to take out the running game, how bad is this Washington offense without it?
Yeah, and I mean, that's this game feels close until you think about the other half of the game, where it's the Steelers defense against the football team's offense, and that's just not a good situation for Washington fans. Yeah, I think that, it could be tough. This Steelers defensive line has continued to be awesome. TJ Watt has continued to be an absolute monster for them. It's really hard to imagine Washington winning. You're going to need another one of those Terry McLaurin just completely going off, but you're not playing Dallas, you're playing Pittsburgh. So probably not going to happen.
The thing is he can have 180 yards, 2 touchdowns, and they still lose by 3 scores. So
yeah, I mean, this you're going to have to completely shut down the Steelers' offense, and I don't see it happen. Yep. All right. So we got 3 games left. I'll give you the Raiders Jets. I'll give you this one because last year there was a situation where for the Raiders, they were looking good. They were also 6-4. I believe they lost the game and then they played the Jets again. And this is a better Jets team, but they got completely smoked. Can they exercise the demons of seasons past and overcome their New York nightmare from a year ago?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm trying to sum it, Kyle. All right.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about this. Yeah, I know. Let's talk a little bit about this as we've gotten a few days away from it. This is the official Las Vegas Raiders podcast. So the official Las Vegas Raiders podcast now, a few days away from the game, has to talk about this. Are we worried about this? Are we worried about this team in this situation? That loss was staggering.
I'm worried because of the loss. I'm worried because of the actual loss. I made a video on this. I think there were a lot of weird things that happened. It was a lot of Deion Jones. As I said, he kind of went off. And I think that clearly this is a different team without Trent Brown, and they need him back. And Brandon Parker was awful. He was the replacement right tackle. He played really bad against Atlanta. All due respect, but it wasn't his best day. So for Trent Brown, I mean, they need Trent Brown back. They're a different team with him back. Darren Waller has to block better, too. I know you're a receiving tight end. You got to block better. He had a bad block that resulted in a fumble. I thought their defense as a whole played fine. They're not a defensive team, but that's a lot of what it was. They didn't have a lot of time. There were some drops and some near catches that didn't quite work out. So they need to get a little bit better on those. But I feel like there were high percentage plays that didn't work out a good amount of the time in that game. And Trent Brown did practice this week. So the hope is that he plays against the Jets, and even if he doesn't, he can play next week against Indianapolis. So long term, I'm not worried, but you're 6-5, so you got to win.
Yeah, no, I agree. Not only do they have to win because it's the Jets and they are 6-5, but because they need to keep in this playoff hunt. They can't go down as the 9 seed. I think that's just too tough. Even though their schedule, I think, is favorable, you can't lose this game. This is, this is a game you can't lose against this team. Which I don't think they will. I think the Raiders are going to win by a lot, by the way. So it doesn't matter. I think my one thing about the Raiders that I'm worried about is kind of like how we put that Daniel Jones conversation in when, fumbles are kind of random. And so you try not to harp too much on it. But as good as Derek Carr's been this year, his fumble, not only is he fumbling the football at times, it's like the most back-breaking fumble possible at the worst possible time for his team. And we've seen it on, of their 5 losses, we've seen it on at least 3 of them where just a killer fumble cost them the game.
Yeah, especially when this offense is kind of built around not turning the ball over and moving the ball methodically. If you're going to be an explosive offense that's getting these 20-yard, 30-yard chunk plays constantly, well, then you can afford a few turnovers. If you're the Raiders, you're going to run more plays, so you can't turn the ball over because you're going to have less possessions. And when you're running more plays, there's a bigger chance you turn the ball over. So you have to be better at that. So yeah, I mean, it's a real problem. And again, like I said, a lot of those were blocking, but at the same time, there was definitely, I thought, one of them in particular that Carr just he has to hold on to. So it's something that's been a problem his whole career. Really is he sometimes will fumble the football if he's hitting the right spot. And teams know that, and they hit him in the right spot.
Yeah. With that being said, Raiders 28-3. So,
yeah, 28-3. I wonder where you came up with that score. Let's move on. All right, time for you to give me the last game. Who do you got? Tough choice.
I'll give you Miami at Cincinnati.
Yeah, I don't know. I think this is I think the Dolphins should win this game handedly. I think this line is a bit much. I'm kind of regretting not giving you this one, to be honest. I think this one maybe was a better one. I think you did a better job picking down the stretch here, but I also don't think it'll matter. I think these games will all go a certain way. But yeah, I mean, listen, Cincinnati, they look surprisingly competent without Joe Burrow, so maybe there is some hope. I mean, they did, again, part of it was they got the special teams touchdown, but they did still come within one score of beating the Giants. Miami is just a much better team than the Giants, though. And I think that on Cincinnati's best day, they can almost beat the New York Giants. I think on Miami's worst day, they might lose to the New York Giants. I think this is just, they're two different leagues right now.
Yeah, no, I agree with everything. I mean, at the same time, too, you said all that. I feel like we have a very different opinion about this Bengals team if there wasn't that kick return. Even with, Brandon Allen, I thought was admirable, but he also had a 4.7 yards per attempt. And he also threw turned over the ball. Their leading rusher was Giovanni Bernard, who, by the way, his picture makes him look like he's like 55. Anyway, but he had 32 yards on the ground on 8 carries. I mean, it's a completely different team without Joe Burrow, which is crazy to say how much of an impact a rookie has on his team. But yeah, Brandon Allen, I don't think is going to be able to do anything. Xavier Howard is going to have a pick in this one. I'll lock that up. I don't even care about the score. Xavier Howard's going to have a pick. So I'm going with the Dolphins by a lot. I don't think it's close.
Xavier Howard is going to have. Are you from the future? Is that how you know this?
Yes, he's getting an interception. So
okay. I have the picture. This is a picture. He does look like it's like a movie, and like he put on the pads one more time to go out there.
Yeah, he honestly looks like he's in a boxing movie where he's like washed up boxer who won a title in like 1997, and they bring him out for that one last fight against the young, egotistical heavyweight champ of the world who's just like this big show off, and then he comes in and beats him in the 7th round with this huge uppercut. That's Giovanni Bernard right now, but he's not going to beat the Dolphins. So
yeah, well, I was about to say, who is the show off? Is that Xavier Howard?
I guess so. He's gonna punch. He's gonna uppercut Xavier Howard for the knockout.
Okay, let us know in the chat who would win in a fight, Giovanni Bernard or Xavier Howard. All right. I mean, yeah, I don't have too much to add. For Miami, listen, they lost to Denver. You can't let another loss like this happen, or it's over. Pack your bags, get ready for next season.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
All right, let's move on and let's talk about the aforementioned Denver Broncos. They're 14-point underdogs. So this is a pretty interesting one. I'm trying to remember if this is your pick.
Yeah, I'm giving this to you.
Yes. Okay. Right. Yeah. Wait. Are you giving this?
No, you're giving it to me. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So wait. I think we did this backwards. We might have done this. I think you gave me. Yeah. I think we got screwed up somewhere.
Because I gave you Dolphins Bengals, right?
I think we did it, but I think I at least had it in my head that it was the other way around. But maybe I screwed some. In my head, I gave it to you, which makes no sense because I gave you. Wait, no. Yeah, you're right. Sorry, my brain broke. Yeah, so you gave me. I got confused for a second.
Yeah, I gave you Dolphins Bengals, so you give me Broncos Chiefs.
Yes, all right, we got this. The Broncos Chiefs. Who do you got?
Yeah, so this is what I think I was reading today that they're going to basically isolate Blake Bortles. So they're putting Bortles in his own bubble in case so they don't have this happen again. So as far as I'm aware, all the quarterbacks tested negative, so they're all back on the table to play. With that being said, the Chiefs are going to win. But yeah,
wow,
I mean,
hot take.
Yeah, I know. So that was just a weird situation. Like I said, I didn't watch the game. I felt like I didn't need to. But we don't have to see Kendall Hinton play quarterback again. It was a good effort. But yeah, I just don't think there's enough pieces on this Broncos team.
Yeah. No, I think the Broncos will cover. I do. I think the Broncos will cover. I think here's why. I mean, the last time these two teams played, it was a blowout. It was 43-16. But a lot of that was honestly the Denver's offense was horrible. They Drew Lock threw 2 interceptions. One of them was a pick six. At least one of them was a pick six. I kind of still feel like Denver's defense has the tools to slow down Kansas City. And I think that we'll see a better offensive approach this time. Not a great one, but a better one. Kansas City's defense has been a little bit not as good these past few weeks. I mean, the past 3 weeks, they gave up 24 to Tampa Bay, 31 to Las Vegas, and 31 to Carolina. They won all 3 of those games, so at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. But you would like to see a better defensive showing for Kansas City, and maybe I would take, and when I say I think they're going to cover, I really mean I would take Denver with points here. I think there's a better chance they stay within 14 than get beat by over 14.
I guess. I mean, the way I see
you can disagree. It's fine.
No, I mean, the way I see that happening is like the Chiefs like casually go up 21-0, and then just coast the rest of the game.
But that's what Denver does.
Yeah, I mean,
that's what Denver does. They go down 28, and then they score 3 touchdowns and say, "Hey, we lost by 1 score."
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's fair. I still feel like I'm comfortable with the Chiefs. I would even be comfortable with the Chiefs picking the Chiefs to cover. This is probably a game though that if I had to bet it, I'd tease it down. Just tease it down to a touchdown win.
You love the teasing it down. That you're a big fan of that.
I mean, it's easy. You get favorites by a favorable margin.
Yeah.
But anyway, enough about my gambling habits. But yeah, so I just what?
Remember, kids, don't gamble. Just because Kyle is an addict doesn't mean it's cool.
Listen, my college football bets are about to net me a lot of money, so that's all that matters.
Okay, well, remember, kids, bet on college football. You'll always make money. Yeah. No one has ever lost money gambling.
Exactly. Not college football. Not when you bet Mac Jones and Alabama Crimson Tide in the preseason to win the Heisman in the national championship. So anyway, yeah, that's worked out for me. But yeah, I would probably tease this one down and bet the Chiefs, but I still feel comfortable picking the Chiefs minus 14. This seems just too good, man. It looks better than it did last year.
Yeah, no, it really does. I said that last week. Plagiarism.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my bad. So.
Sorry. All right. Well, all right. So that's our show. And again, ending it on a weird note. We always seem to go out with this not with a, I don't know what I would call it. We're terrible ending shows. We need like an ending bet. Not
with a bang, but with a hem.
All right. On cue. Time. All right. Yeah, so that's the show, everyone. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it. We'll be back midnight on I guess is it technically on Sunday night or Monday morning on midnight?
I guess it's Monday morning, technically. Let's call it Sunday night, though, so people don't get confused.
Yeah, exactly. We don't want to. Midnight, Sunday night. It's weird. So when I put I have to schedule the podcast, and so I put, it's like 12 a.m. is what it is, and it always confuses me about what's a.m. and what's p.m. And like if I Google it, the first thing that comes up is there actually is no difference between a.m. or p.m. I'm like, you're no help. How do I figure this out? So it's a.m. on StreamYard. So if StreamYard is God, then technically Monday morning.
All right. In case anyone needed to know. So midnight, yes. 12 a.m., Sunday night, Monday morning.
That's our new ending segment, is I rant about something no one else cares about. All right. Let's move on. Thanks to everyone again for watching. We appreciate it. All right. And Kyle, let them know where they can find you. I almost forgot your plugs.
GuyBostonSports.com. Check it out. Great blogging there, not just from me, but I do some writing, do some podcasting on that. Make sure to see that at GuyBostonSports.com.
Yes, also looks like some news in the chat. The great Sauce Boss said, did Bud Dupree get injured? Eli Mullen is saying he's out for the season probably. I saw he got hurt. I didn't realize it was that bad. So that sucks. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. And as always, see you next week. I screwed up whatever. Goodbye.